The sun went down in a coppery west, the grey sea cold in its mad unrest. The fishermen knew that husky roar, so the boats were hauled far up the shore, and the bearded giants loitered round, silent and surly and weather-bound. Chilly and shrill the east wind blew, and soon the quivering foam flakes flew like birds in the darkling air, and dappled the moorland here and there. The last rays gleamed on the Cheviot hill, and soon the cottages all were still. Long by the glow of the dying fire, Big Tom sat still as the gale rose higher. His mighty sons were all asleep. Brooding he sat, and his thoughts were deep. Grimly rising he shook his head, the floor quaked to his giant tread. Once more he looked at the warring night, and saw the fierce waves coiling white in their aimless wrath, drenching with spray the village path. Lightning through the troublesome gloom, shaking the rocks with their sullen boom. 40 years on the coast, said he, but there never was such an ugly sea. Some of the ships will be running north. Maybe they'll try to make the Forth. Maybe they'll try our point, but they'll not get round. They'll be nailed like rats in a trap and drowned. Reckon I'll not turn in just yet. They said they'd waken me, maybe forget. So Tom sat on in his patient way, till he saw the quiver of rising day, and soon his sonorous voice rang high, "Out, my lads, as quick as you can, out on the rocks, here, every man. See here, there, away to the south, running by God to the Badger's mouth. At the westerly hollow they'll catch the squall. Lord, have mercy upon them all." Every villager soon stood by, silently straining every eye, for a labouring brig to the northward crept. Our men looked grave, and the women wept till many an eye was red, for the little ship was sore beset. How could she ever hope to ride with the wreck of the foremast over her side? She wallowed before the smashing sea. Her scanty topsail caught the breeze, but the deadly foremast dragged her sore, and she settled and settled more and more. She reeled and wavered with every shock. Said Tom, she'll drive on the fairy rock. Lunging and straining, she neared our home, buried in wreaths of whirling foam. We saw the signals were flying there, when her mast heaved up in the misty air. Signals, alas, we all could tell, she soon must sink in that boiling hell. The farmers and folk from the market town had heard the gale, and they crowded down. Their horses were tethered in restless troops. The beach was dotted with curious groups. And they stared to seaward and held their breath, while the fated seamen wrestled with death. Little by little the brig came on. The race engulfed her. Her chance was gone. She lurched and a woman shrieked, "O Lord," for the second mast went by the board. Round and round in a desperate whirl, into the gap where the breakers swirl, smash, and a quivering to and fro, said Tom, "They'll soon be with last year's snow." Down to the beach the fishers rushed, right where the screaming backdraft gushed. A sigh and a lull of wind came then, and they heard the cry of the dying men. Then Mary Brown said, "O Tom, my man, help them poor mortals if you can. See, there's one of them waving there. Hark, it's more than my heart can bear. Tom, oh man, we've lads of our own. Would you like to see them to die alone?" He gripped a spar in his poor bit hand, and his eyes were full of the cruel sand. His bonny eyes, they stared o'er me, the eyes his mother would never see. She'd wait and wait, and her heart would ache, and I kissed the bairn for the mother's sake. The ship has hardly an hour to stand, and the corpses will come on the windy sand. And it's true for the heart so sad and sore, for the lads that never go back no more. If I lost you, Tom, I think I'd die, but try to save them, my darling, try. The giant patted her arm and smiled. "Whist, my bonny, thou'st talking wild. Give us a minute to look around, and ask Big Harry to clear the ground. Drive the loafers back to the wall, and I'll see if there's any chance at all." For one grim instant he scanned the crowd, then like a trumpet his voice rang loud. "Lay hold of the boat on the dead man's ledge, and hurl her down to the water's edge." A score of the bearded fellows ran to do the hest of their foremost man. Then he said, "My lads, it's a nasty sea, but they mustn't drown. That cannot be. I'm going to try and land them here. Which of you all will volunteer?" Out stepped Harry, his eldest son. "All right, father, I'll make one." "Right, my son, jump onto your throft. I thought that none of the breed was soft." Then the second son, without a word, vaulted in, and a groan was heard. Now among the crowd who had come to stare was a carter driving a mettled mare. She poured and foamed and tried to rear, for the yell of the wind sent her mad with fear. Sudden she took the bit in her teeth and plunged from the road to the beach beneath. Hold her, stop her, catch at the rein, swing her round to the road again. But the creature was furious, fierce and fleet. She spurned the sand with her flying feet. Out of the cart the man was hurled. Over his head the wheels were whirled, and the mare rushed on with her lightning dash. Right on the coble there came a crash, a tearing struggle. The crowd looked blank, for the axle had torn clean through a plank. Poor Tom bent down and his brow grew dark, for the gap was below the watermark, and the only bird with a chance to live was about as safe as a miller's sieve. But glories of glories, this hero then waved his hand to calm the men, quietly took off his shaggy coat, lightly vaulted into the boat, and before the soul had time to speak, he stuffed his jacket into the leak. Then he roared, "I want another lad. Come away, Hennies, it's not so bad. One of you hold this in and bail, and I'll bet my lugs we shall not fail." So we shoved them off into the weltering bay, and the straining giants rode away, up like a bird on a roller's crown, pausing a little, then swiftly down. Oh, that's over her steady, no, like a wild sea bird, then see her go, squelch, and the comber lightly rolls over the bow. Lord help their souls. Here's a monster come charging on, starboard a lurch, and the wave is gone. Yard by yard they fight their way. Harry is done for. What did you say? Didn't you see him drop his oar, making as if he could pull no more? Never a bit. Just watch him strike, tearing hard, saw you ever the like. Yard by yard they lashed their way through the curtain of driving spray. Over she goes, I see a keel. Lord's sake, what does the mother feel? Settling steady by the head, Mary bit her lip till it bled. But the dauntless fellows had not failed. Madly the rescued sailors bailed with sou'westers and clumsy bulls. See, she's lighter, watch how she rolls. One stroke more, it isn't far. Round with her stern now, here we are. Then with a wild and joyous din, we plunged through the foam and hauled them in. A laugh like that of a joyous child shrilled through the air, poor Mary's wild. Oh, my body, the Lord is good. My heart was breaking as I stood, but I knew he would fetch you back again. For himself he gave his life for men. And Harry, the shaggy eldest lad, grinned and said, we've not done bad. Then with a cheer, we cheered them home to the cottage door, and we put the boat in safe once more. And every soul of our rugged race was proud that the men belonged our place. They had never a sign of praise or pay. They wanted none. It was not their way. But I've tried to tell with my clumsy pen the bravest deeds of the sons of men.